What's up, Glorify community? Welcome to this exclusive training video. We're going to run through how to create an amazing, captivating product gallery for Amazon. And we're going to use a very specific product brand in this as an example. We're going to reveal the product in a moment. But in this video, you'll learn how to create story-driven images using your product photos on Glorify and crafting images from your hero image that will be listed on Amazon down to your individual feature images and communicating the features in a very intuitive way so that customers can really truly appreciate the value of the product. So with that said, let's jump straight into it. We're on Glorify on a canvas, as you can see. I've got a 2000 by 2000 size canvas, which is ideal for Amazon product imagery. And here's the product reveal, drum roll. We've got Razer in the house. Great brand. I feel they've been an underdog brand until making it to the mainstream in the last quite some time now, to be fair. But what I love about Razer is that they're not just a gaming brand. They create very exquisite tech, right? And they recently released the Hammerhead True Wireless Pro earphones. Beautiful product. If you look at their website, the aesthetic has got that kind of green alien, kind of urban dark feel, which is super cool. And so look how they're presenting the product over here with the different features, noise cancellation, the comfort, the low latency. Pretty much gets you a full understanding, this landing page of this product we're going to purchase. However, if you go to the Amazon listing, it's really disappointing actually. If you look at this is, by the way, from the Razer store, as you can see. But as you navigate through these images, they're quite underwhelming. And it's just shocking that they have an Amazon listing, yet they're not putting enough attention to these images. I mean, some of these are okay, but I don't feel like I'm getting enough value from this. I mean, I see this and I get that it's certified in a sense. Scientifically, I guess it's, good for high fidelity sound. I'm not sure what the certification means. Maybe it's a health related thing. It's not going to affect your hearing or something. And then they've got the Snuggier Fit, which is fine, but they don't have anything about noise cancellation, for example. So let's go and try to revamp this, make it a bit more richer and more informative in terms of what the feature and how the feature impacts it. We'll start with a hero image. I'm going to copy the image, paste it on the canvas, Control V or Command V on MacBook. There's the image. We're going to scale this up. I want to give it a drop shadow. I think it needs a drop shadow. We'll try to make it occupy as much of the image as possible, which is what's necessary for Amazon. We'll give it a drop shadow image. Notice there's a background on this. We'll pull the background removal tool to remove the background. There we go. Now the drop shadow will be right behind the product, which is what I wanted. We'll increase the blur. We'll Y space a little bit lower, and I think this is too strong. We'll go to 20%. And just increase that drop shadow a bit more. And notice how with just a subtle drop shadow, there's so much pop. You can turn it off and on, and look at the difference. When you switch on the drop shadow, it gives that beautiful subtle pop with what I wanted on this main product image. You could potentially try a reflection, but because this product is black, when you start to use the reflection feature, it just comes off a bit weird, I guess. Like, is that a shadow? Is that a reflection? It's hard to say, really. I mean, it doesn't look too bad, but I just prefer it with the shadow. It looks cleaner. So I'm going to remove the reflection. Right, next image, let's jump into it. So I'm going to duplicate this, spread it out a little bit more, and we'll delete this image. For this next image, it's better to use a different product. We'll go for the noise cancellation, but there's not much images I can pull from here, to be honest. I think it'll be best if I use something on the site. My favorite one is this one, but it does have a lot of color in it, but we should be able to adjust it in a way so that the color is not too strong. So the way I'm going to do that is first take a nice little snapshot of this image. In fact, let's go from here. Boom. And then go to Glorify, hit paste. Now I'm not going to use this kind of aesthetic on my product image in Amazon because I feel like if you skip to this image, it will feel quite overwhelming and disconnected in terms of the storyline and communicating features. It looks great on the website as a header image, but on here, it'll probably just throw people off, right? I want to drive consistency through the aesthetic of the product throughout. Also, I noticed, I just want to fix one last thing before I go into that image. This seems a little bit pixelated. So one way to fix that is go to Effects and try adding a little bit of noise. The noise will remove the pixelation and also bring that authentic kind of matte plastic feel that you can actually see that it's a bit textured on the main product images. As you go down here, there's this slight matte grainy track texture that's not coming through on this image. So increasing it, the noise around 15, 16 should give it that look. Look how beautiful that looks now. There we go, with noise. Without noise, look how pixelated it looks. With noise, it's got that grainy, beautiful texture. So we're gonna stick to that. Now with this image, I wanna remove the background first because I wanna take it off that kind of green haze so I have more flexibility. Fantastic. Beautiful. Background removal worked just as expected. We'll go with black background, and it looks beautiful on this black background, as you can see. Really comes off nicely here, but the blue and sort of green haze is a bit too strong. So what I'm going to do is go to effects, and we'll start with shadow, and we'll saturation, sorry, and we'll drop the saturation to around minus 66 perhaps. Let's come back here. We might tweak this later. Does this need noise? I think we could add just a tad of noise, because if we apply noise, it'll just look more high definition versus the pixelated noise on here. And then what we can do is also add a little bit of, I think contrast would be better first. Let's reduce the contrast because it's just too much going on. I think we need it to be a bit subtly on the minus end. And then let's try and make it a little bit less bright because it's too bright. So pull it back and try to match the brightness of your main product image would be best. So look at the brightness over here and try to match it. Let's make a bit more contrast. I think the contrast is too little now. And there we go. I think around that much. I think the saturation could be less as well, so we can make it a bit darker. Less color. And the contrast can reduce a little bit more to about, there we go. The brightness can go a bit lower as well. So it's in this dark, moody setting. Looks beautiful, right? I'm quite happy with that. You know what? Let's increase the contrast a little bit. I feel like, you know what? Let me reduce the contrast and then make the contrast come back with a second version. There we go. So that we get the blacks to be a bit more absolute black. There we go. Beautiful. All right. So I'm happy with that. There's my second product image. Notice the green light is not there. So I'm going to have to, firstly, let's make this crop a bit optimum so we can have easier. It's just better to crop the image for the part that you're using. And then what I'll do is I'll duplicate this image, align it, and we'll crop it just to the light area. Click outside, and then we'll select this and remove the saturation, and just the saturation so that it looks nice. The green comes out. We'll remove the contrast because the contrast can affect the brightness of the green, as you can notice. And now it's fully bright green. Now we can take these two and we can do Command G or right click group to group these together. Perfect. I'm really happy with that product image. Now from here, I'm going to go into my assets library because I want to basically try to find a kind of sound. Like if you notice the feature over here for noise cancellation, I want that feature to be highlighted on this image. So to do that, we got to find some maybe like illustrators. I would recommend the Pixabay illustrations. Try that and let's type something along the lines of sound wave. There's a few examples over here. I think that one could work. Let's give this a go. I'll pull back the assets panel, and from here, let's scale this up. You can't see it right now because it's black, but that's okay. We'll go and add a color overlay, and there we go. We've actually set it to green. Let's make sure it's the right green. So what I'll do is I'll take a screenshot of this. There we go. And I'll take this and make sure that we've got the exact right green. Yeah, there we go. Slightly darker, right? So we'll also send this to the back behind the earphones. Beautiful. And we can scale this up as well, I think. So, and I want to show it as if this sound wave is being blocked. So right now it looks like it's coming out of the earphone, which is not the effect that I want. So what I'll do is get a circle shape, scale it up, and I'm going to make a donut shape, but also crop it up to around here and around here. And from here, there we go. I'm quite happy with that. From here, what we can do is implement maybe a bit of a gradient sort of color in the fill. So let me pull this color, pull the gradient over here, make it lighter. There we go. And give it a gradient. And maybe we can make the green a bit darker on the... Yeah, there we go. And that looks nice. I will also give this a drop shadow for it a bit to pop a little bit, stand out, make it a bit... There we go. And I want this to be blocked now. So one way to make this kind of mask this shape out is use the pen tool to crop through, and like we can just cover this up by drawing manually with the pen tool. And once we got the shape, we'll send this layer to the back. We'll have to go to the layers panel because it shouldn't be absolutely the back, it should be on top of the Pixabay illustration. There we go. And we'll set this color to the same black as the background, right? So there we go. Great. So there we go. We've made it covered. I want to add more details into the sound wave. I think what we can do is scale this down and basically add a bit of a brighter green. There we go. So there's a bit more dynamic feeling going on this sound wave. It doesn't just feel like static or anything like that, which I want to try to avoid. And then maybe the back one can be a slightly tad darker, right? There we go. So there's a nice contrast. So it looks like there's a sound wave being blocked by this earphone noise cancellation. Now I want some text to communicate that. Of course, it's not going to be complete without text. So what I'll do is add a text layer there, but I'll copy this text right here. Not sure what font they're using, but you could find out. In this case, I'm just going to skip that for now. I'll just go with Roboto. And I'll go with, again, the same color that they're using on their website, which is this one. And we'll spread this out. There we go. So clearly defined feature over here. And also nicely communicated, right? So that was the goal, and I think we've achieved it. Fantastic. Quite happy with that. Looks very clear. I think we can make the text right aligned. There we go. And that is one feature image. So notice how this image is telling a story versus just having text to communicate the feature, right? And it's using diagrams and technicality on that. Now let's go and create the next image. In this image, I want to go with lifestyle mode, and the way I'm going to do it is I want to communicate. Well, let's go to the Amazon features. I think there's a few features they communicate. The in-ear design piece, and there's also the low latency feature. Let's go with the low latency. I think that's a very important feature. So we'll go and to the website, because the image here I notice is much more high definition. We can right click, try to inspect, and then the image should be over there. As you can see, we'll open that JPEG. We can copy that image, and we'll go back to Glorify and paste it in our canvas. We don't necessarily need this. I'll just delete it, and we'll paste it right in here. Excellent. So what I'm going to do is I want to set this image to background so I don't have to bother keep on adjusting it. We'll edit the image and we'll place it a little bit, use the X slider to see the phone. Otherwise you can't see the phone, right? And now that I've got the phone in place, I can also try to scale it just a tad so that it's a bit more magnified. There we go. So that's a great image. Now, next part is I want to communicate the feature of low latency. We'll start with the text so we're aligned on what this feature is about. We can copy the text right from here, low latency connection. And I think maybe we might need some subtext to describe what this does exactly to give more clarity. I think they did this over here. So for seamless sound and gaming advantage. So let's type the same thing, it's okay. And we'll add that down for seamless sound and gaming experience. Yeah, and we'll just make that white, and we can scale this down since it's a subheading. Now I want to anchor this text in this image so that, you know, it doesn't just feel like it's floating. You don't always have to do this with typography, but I like to do this specifically on product images, especially on Amazon. Just has this visual anchor. What that does is that if you then communicate the next feature with that same anchor, it builds a habit with you know, people going through the product gallery, right? So that's always helpful. Great, so there we go. And I think we can group these together so it stays together. There we go. So there's the little feature piece. And then now we can go with the diagrams to actually really go into the actual, you know, low latency work. So how do you communicate this? Well, you know, basically low latency means that it connects faster with your device that you're using it with. So I think one way to do that is add sort of like a circle to highlight the earphone. That's significant. I know it's already, you know, it is the product, but highlighting in this way sometimes just gives extra added clarity that, you know, an idea for the user to know what are we actually talking about in this image. I'll add a border. So I want to kind of create this little effect of sort of haziness. Let me try and add that color as the color of the border should be here actually. So we'll be working soon on paste color by keeping color palettes into one window. So yeah, that was just an experiment. We tried to split the windows, but anyway, so here we go. And we're going to reduce, I think, the opacity of that. Notice how it looks very interesting there. Boom. Yeah, so that little that sort of thin stroke that is slightly transparent has this nice little effect to highlight what we're looking at, and we can make this a bit thinner. There we go. So that looks really nice. The nice little graphic piece over here to highlight the earphone. Now we want it to connect to the phone in a sense, so we can use like a line, a flat end arrow, and draw it over to the end, and we can use the curve feature for this. And I want to make it a bit dashed, I mean. Increase the gap, and we'll use the same color as what we've been using, which is this one. I've got it saved, so paste that color again. There we go. So there's the connection, it seems. So it looks like a connection, and there we go. So it's like this is sort of unseen connection. I think we can further make this more informative by adding an icon. So we'll go into our libraries and let's head over to our icons and find like a bolt icon. So there's a bunch of bolts over here. I think a couple of these look pretty cool, but let's go with this one. Boom. Okay, that's been added. And to make this stand out, we can give this a background. So we'll go to icons, of course, have this feature. We can add a shape behind it. I'll go with a circle. We'll make it, I think, black, and we'll make the icon white instead. So let's go to the icon color and make that white. And to make it stand out even more, we can even give it a border, but let's give the border the same green that we've been using everywhere. So I'll do color picker, pick the green, and there we go. And we'll stick that right on the sort of the wire, the connected wire thing, and we'll reduce the border thickness, increase the icon size a bit. So this is a great communication for that feature. You know, the bolt signifies an instant connection, right? Which is what I was trying to get at. So there we go. So that's the second image completed. Let's go with the next image. So great thing is that when you create one lifestyle image, you can use that as a template to communicate your next feature very easily, right? So in this case, let's go for the in-ear design piece, which is going to be really simple to do now. We can go to the website images, right click, inspect again, pick the image over here, click the source URL, copy, and we'll go ahead and paste it. Now, once it's pasted, what you can do is drag it back in the image and right click and set as background. So it'll replace the background. You can then delete this image since we don't need it. And in this case, we can kind of go for the same structure in a sense. We can add this little piece over here. You know, to signify comfort, I think we can do something a bit more different. What we could do is maybe something like a half circle, you know, just around the ear lobe kind of thing, or the ear shape. And I think the text, of course, is in the way. What we could do is also take the background image and see if we can flip it Okay, so we can't flip it right now. I think that is something we are working on, but I think what you could do is remove the image and then flip it again. So for now, what I'll do is I keep to that, but what I can do is take these texts and I'm going to set it on the left side, open the group and align this on the left too with the canvas, and then take these texts and we'll also do the same thing with the text. We'll align it on left, scale it over here around the same distance, and align the text over here. Yep, fantastic. Now notice how it's not like extremely visible because of the color in the background. So what we can do is I'm going to go choose circle and add this in and put this on the background, and we can use a radial, and the radial will be black in the center and fully black on the outside but transparent. And then from here what we can do is scale this up, and then there we go. So this is nice little blur that is giving more visibility to the text. So I'm happy with that. I think we can move this a bit more to the left. As you can see that we don't have that much of the shape showing out. That looks better. And make sure this is on the front. Yeah, it is on the front. Great. So there's the ear being highlighted, and then there's we can probably do a little bit more on this. However, overall, I'm pretty happy with that. We could use the icon as well, perhaps. So we can add, maybe let's try and add the icon over here, but let's move the canvas image. By selecting the canvas, we can move this a little bit on the y-axis to the right side. So it's not, our head's not too close to the text. And then this stuff we can bring over here, and we'll spread this shape out to give more contrast to the text and the icon. So the text over here is going to be in-ear design for snug ear fit and enhanced passive noise isolation. In-ear design. In fact, what we can do is just copy this. All right, I'm going to copy this text for even more customized levels of comfort, and we'll replace it with this. So that gives a nice little broad range of what this feature is about. We'll center the text and we'll move it in a little bit to match up with the other images. Always keep it aligned with other images, very important. If you're not sure about the alignment, or you can do a Shift R to bring out the rulers, and then you can just use the rulers to see if you're aligned. And notice how we're not fully aligned on this image with the ruler yet. So you can just sort of try to use a ruler to align these, and that will just give you better visual aesthetic overall, right? And then we can just move this away and then Shift R to cancel the ruler again. So there we go. I think that gives a very nice indication of what it's like. I think what we should do is change the icon to something more relevant. So let's go ahead and pick maybe like ear or feather or something interesting that signifies comfort. So go to the icon, click replace, and we'll go to icons 8 and we'll pick ear. Let's try ear. So there's a bunch of different ear. I think something like that could work. This one, a bit boxy. It's a bit small, so we'll go to the size and increase the size all the way. There we go. So there's the ear icon. So that's how fast you can create very informative product images. And you can see how useful it is in terms of communicating, the value of the product. I believe if Razer was to replace their images with these product images, it'll just communicate so much more value. And it'll just look a lot more brand oriented as well, which I feel they're definitely losing out on at the moment. I think just to tie all these images together, I noticed one thing that we can do for a slight improvement is the color correction. And one way to do color correction is simply use a shape, draw a shape in. So we're going to start with the main hero image, and we'll draw a shape in, and then we'll use the color picker. We'll choose gradient. We'll keep it to linear gradient, and I want one side to embody the brand green and the other side to embody like a blue. And then, that's the aesthetic you see on their site. They kind of use these cool and green tones. And I want that sort of aesthetic to kind of filter through all of their images. So what I'll do is reduce the transparency, number one, and we'll go to effects and go to blend and choose overlay. And notice how you got the subtle green and blue hue now to give that more branded look and feel, right? It's beautiful. So we'll add that on this image. We'll add it to this image. We'll add it to this image, and we'll add it to this image. Just the subtle shades of green just gives that extra level of branded feel, and then it gives this cohesive feeling where as you go and navigate through the images, feels very cohesive experience. That's pretty much it for this tutorial, guys. I hope you enjoyed it. Notice how, just with a few product images, drawing inspiration from an existing brand. If you're working with an e-commerce company or you have an e-commerce brand, you probably already have your colors and your logos and your style established. So you just have to draw inspiration from it, bring it into your product image design process, and knock out these images using existing assets. And that's what we've done here. Just one more thing before I do conclude. We do have a product image gallery challenge coming up. So I do encourage you guys to participate in it so that not only you can learn to improve your product imagery, but in the process you can win exciting prizes, connect with our community, and just participate in this amazing challenge. Do participate. Our last challenge last month was a huge hit. We did a digital wallpaper challenge for people that want to sell wallpapers online. So they both mastered and learned the process of designing wallpapers, setting up their e-commerce store to sell it, but also participating in the challenge to win awesome exclusive prizes. Check out the Amazon Product Image Design Challenge, and I really encourage you guys to participate on that. I hope you enjoyed this tutorial. Do subscribe to our channel for more future videos that are soon to come. I've listed a few other videos that I recommend that you can take a look at that I most likely you'd find very interesting. That's it for now. I'll see you in a future video. Take care. Bye.